We haven't received much feedback from businesses, but certainly the feedback that we've received from other bus operators and just government reports, university reports on the number of people who are travelling, it's obviously a big success. With I think it's up to about 6,000 people travelling a day, which is quite significant, and it's actually exceeding the patronage numbers of the Sydney shuttle bus that goes around the Sydney CBD.
Okay. So, I mean, do you think, considering the numbers of people who are travelling on it, that it would have a positive impact on business?
I think it would definitely have a positive impact on business because what it does, it takes people from major generators, that being the university, where there's a lot of people who go along there, into the CBD. It takes them up to the hospital. It's a very good connect. And it also goes into the residential areas, which means that it's taking residents in and around the CBD, which is fantastic. It takes them to, if you go to Corrimal Street, it actually takes you to the restaurant precinct, so I think that's very good for tourism. So there's a lot of opportunities here, and I think it's worked out very well.
Okay. David Campbell said that he has had anecdotal evidence that parking has improved around the CBD. From the impression you've got, have you noticed this at all?
I haven't noticed it, but I have heard plenty of people who have said that they've ditched the car and they just catch the bus because it's so frequent, it's convenient, it's comfortable. So I think that just stands to reason, especially in regard to the fact that it's free. So I think that's a good thing, given that parking is going to be turned on its head with meters coming through. It gives people an alternative to actually parking in the CBD. They can actually park outside of the CBD or indeed catch the bus from home.
And also, do you expect the service to continue?
Yes, I think with the success of this service, and it's clearly demonstrated, as I said, it's surpassing the figures of what's happening with the shuttle bus in Sydney. It's obviously being very well embraced by this community. And what it seeks to do, it does more than just provide free travel. It actually takes cars off road, which frees up infrastructure, so the government doesn't have to spend so much on roads, etc. It's good for pollution levels, reduces pollution levels, and it actually gets people out and about. And I think the good thing about it is that the connect to the hospital is very good for the elderly, where they can actually even use other bus services like our own, Dion's bus service. Had to throw that in. Our own, to sort of connect to Ferry Meadow and then get a bus direct to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been a big bugbear with elderly people trying to access medical services. So it does a lot more than just take people to the CBD. It transfers obviously people between university and innovation campus, the hospital, because the university has a lot to do with the hospital, and it also caters for main commuters.
Okay. And are you familiar with the tightening of restrictions for student concession card holders?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay. What the state government has done is previously student concession has been open to any full-time students, but now it's been tightened, so any student who has any student who has any type of employment or who gets Centrelink benefits can't have a student concession. So, do you think that the shuttle bus will make up for the shortfall in that?
I suppose it depends on where students reside. I mean, it's a bit of a shame actually, because when we're trying to make people public transport savvy, we start at the young, because if they embrace it, they start to use it, they work it out, and it becomes convenient for them, then they'll continue to use it. So I'm a bit, I suppose, concerned that sort of come in. I mean, and I know that university students are doing it tough as it is, and they've got to go out and work. I think if they're going to sort of imply a restriction, it should be not just if you've got a job or you get a Centrelink benefit, but maybe if you earn over X amount of dollars, or if you're just a part-time student because you might be in full-time work. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit of a shame that it's come to that.
So, I mean, the service is run by Premier, so how has that affected your own business?
It has actually reduced our patronage, in particular services to the university, and we knew that that would happen. But that said, we see that there's some good opportunity there because we also have a regular 20-minute service into the Wollongong CBD from the northern suburbs. And what we thought was that, well, where we might lose in the Ferry Meadow precinct, in particular going into the university, what we would be doing, or what we should be doing, and we will be doing soon, is promoting to our customers to actually, if you need to get to the university and our bus is not going to take you directly there, tap into the bus, the Gong shuttle, the same with the hospital and also the innovation campus. So what this actually can do is give us a greater reach for our patrons and take them to places for no extra cost where they were not previously able to access.
Okay, cool. So on a different point, the Mercury, as I said, reported that the unemployment rate could rise to 10%. So why do you think this is?
I think one of the reasons being, obviously, we've got the global financial crisis, but that unemployment rate that you've just announced, we are traditionally higher than that of the state and federal averages, and that's a fair bit to do with how this region is made up, its employment base, how we service other regions like Sydney, etc. I mean, it's very important to note that in addition to the unemployment rate, we have some 20,000 people commuting to Sydney every day for work. And so that if we didn't have that commuting side of things, well, then our employment rate would be significantly higher. So I think it's very important that on the government perspective, they need to recognise this. I think our federal government has, but what hasn't been recognised is our need to have infrastructure in place which gives us better connectivity to Sydney, because Sydney is of course a global city and we should be tapping into that. And importantly, if we can actually establish that connection, businesses would be looking at Wollongong or the Illawarra region more favourably as a place for employers, a desirable place for employers to set up business because the connectivity between Wollongong, Sydney, the airport, etc. It would improve our tourism if we had the right roads and rail all in place. And so from the Illawarra Business Chamber's perspective, we are always lobbying government to sort of look at our infrastructure needs and sort of put something to it so that we don't have to sit up there higher than the state and federal averages on the unemployment front.
Yeah. And have you noticed that the unemployment is in one particular sector or a couple of different sectors?
All I know is that there's a general unemployment rate, and our youth unemployment rate is double digit. It's unacceptably high. And again, I suppose it comes back down to the opportunities of creating jobs for our youth down here. I think we have a great base down here. We have great educational facilities, in particular the University of Wollongong. But that said, we're sort of always flying under the radar when it comes to businesses wanting to set up in this region or us connecting to Sydney. Again, I think it gets back to infrastructure and putting into place the right settings to sort of encourage businesses to come down to Wollongong and set up and stay here.
Okay. And what advice would you give to anybody currently looking for a job, particularly in the 18 to 25 kind of age group?
Oh, that's a very hard one, given that our unemployment's so high. I suppose you've got to sell yourself. You've got to sort of make sure that you've got everything that an employer really wants, and you've got to be pretty true to yourself as to whether you're really at that level when going in. You've got to be realistic about what sort of job can you sort of get into and actually do a very, very good job. This day and age, I think loyalty is a very big thing, and that's got to be demonstrated too. So it's about starting from the bottom and building yourself up, showing some credibility in terms of your performance and also your loyalties. And I think that we're in that position whereby people just can't flip all over the place and change different employment places. They've got to demonstrate that, hey, I want to be here a little bit more long term than what would have happened before the global financial crisis.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you very much for that.
That's okay.